Ladies and gentlemen. Diane! Hey, is Mary Beth here? Mark! Mark, hello, my friend. Hi, Satyam. Martine, bonjour. Ciao. Hi, Mary. Hey, down Chloe. Danny! Goodness me. It's a who's who of all our family here. Hey, Linda. Hi, everyone. Alita, hi there. Nice to see you. Mary Beth, is lovely to have you here. Carol, hey. Hi, Kathy. Lovely to have everyone here. Now, can I just hi everyone? Hey, Alice. Oh, I'm thrilled to see Robin Ann. Hey, we're nice to see everyone. So, I'm sorry, Darla. I'm sorry if I miss your name coming up. I just want to do a quick sound check. Bonsoir. Are you hearing me okay? There's Sayuri. The reason why, hey, Susie, Therese, I haven't. Oh, sorry, there's a bug. I haven't put my headphones in because once I get walking down the road, um, hola, Maureen, bienvenidos. It's a very, very noisy city, and sometimes I find my headphones actually suck the sound in. It is hot, Helen, but it's not unbearably hot. So if the sound's good, that's great because I'm in a quiet place here. Uh, Sorry, some bug just went down the back of my very, very, very sticky shirt. It's not an eagle. No, they're vultures. They're buzzards down there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're on time. I know we have a lot of people booked here, so I don't know if the count is correct. Yeah, it's a nice lamppost, isn't it? It's hola, Sarita. Conchetta, hi there. Hi, Karen. Laura, lovely. So, just as a quick hello, I think my counter's probably wrong because I know that we have quite a lot of people booked, and I'm glad because it's a real honor to bring everyone here. Let me first of all just do a quick introduction. Hi, Janice. Janice, we're about at the same level now. So, first of all, hi, Peter. My name's Patrick Toomey. Hi, Pauline. Nice to meet you. Hi, TNJ. I do not live here. In fact, if you imagine this, what's that? That is a fish out of water. That's who I am here. Hey, Danny. So I'm in a different world. They've done it in my normal world. Keep in mind, day before yesterday, I was at 5,300 meters above sea level. And then, of course, our good friend Renan picked me up and took me to the highest airport in the world, El Alto Airport, in just outside La Paz, up above La Paz in Bolivia. I flew down an hour 40 to Lima. I went into downtown Lima. I had lunch with a friend, and what happened during lunch? Well, they had a coup d'etat here, un golpe de estado. They overthrew the government while I was here, so I didn't even realize, I wasn't even sure I would make it here. So yeah, Pedro Castillo, the president, and a very, very tumultuous runoff. Thanks, Michelle, that they had here in the previous election. Yeah, Marlene. Hi, Marlene. He tried to dissolve Congress while he was giving a speech. I literally had met a friend. Hi, Jen. In fact, for those of you for a UK friend who used to work with the same British tour company that I used to work with, I'm safe as can be. Absolutely. You could hi, Robert. You could see Castillo trembling. So I was eating lunch with my friend Elisa, who was traveling that afternoon. Thanks, Jennifer. And the phone rang and said, "I don't know if I can travel. We're having a coup d'état here." Thanks, Martine. And so, we sat and watched on the screen, and he dissolved Parliament. Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Dissolved Parliament or the Congress, and then he hopped in with his bodyguards to go to the Mexican embassy. His bodyguards let him down and blocked him. And the long and short of it is they did declare a curfew from 10 to 4, but that seems to have already passed. Everything's quite stable, and Peru now has its first woman president. So very interesting. It doesn't seem to be Martin. It's very interesting. So, hi, Michelle. Yeah, a woman president. She was actually sort of the vice candidate. So, I've already left a message for our great friend Vanessa in Lima. I thought it would be really lovely if she could do a talk. Thanks, Janice. Do a talk about what's happened politically here in Peru over the last couple of days. I did put up one last tour on the 11th before I go to the airport, like I did in Bolivia, like travel to Peru. Anyway, all that noted. So that's what we went through politically in the last few days. It was the last day in Peru. So do you know the last time I was here was 2019 before the pandemic, and I was up in Puno where I did a tour, you'll remember, on Lake Titicaca, and I couldn't go into Bolivia because they They overthrew the government there. I could. And now that I'm back in Peru, so I feel as though there's sort of this odd synchronicity here that when I come down here, they overthrow governments. Hey, Marty. Anyway, thanks, Marlene. That noted, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled. Noisy airplane. I'm thrilled to bring you here. It is hot, but not unbearable. I am exactly 100 meters above sea level here, 300 feet. So it's an incredible thing. I am in the city of Iquitos. Thanks, Diane. Iquitos is the largest city in the world with no road access. Let me just step back for a minute and say I would like to offer a very heartfelt thank you to our friend Sayuri in Bahia in Brazil, because we were chatting earlier, because I had questions for you, Sayuri, particularly, of course, because this was, well, I mean, it was founded and people have been living here for thousands of years. It is you, Sayuri. And I was asking about, of course, oh, is that right, Linda? Oh, lovely. Hi, everyone. So for the grade fives, a coup d'etat is the overthrowing of a government, something you don't want to happen in a violent way. But let me just start to give you all a bit of a view. No road access, exactly, Karen. You've seen enough of me, so let's have a little look out where I am. So this is flat. Hey, Ashoka. I am in Loreto, which is the largest province in Peru. That is actually the Taila River, and just beyond it is the actual Amazon River. We always think of the Amazon as Brazil, as we should. Now, Manaus, sort of the capital of the Amazon in Brazil, is 1,400 kilometers. Salut, Hélène. 1,400 kilometers east of here. We're about 2,000 kilometers, 1,400 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, right? And how do people travel historically in this part of the world? Well, exactly like this. Look at the boat. These are your classic Amazon boats. We're just moving from the dry season into the rainy season. All right. So just to come back as a little intro, and then I want to climb in more to what is the Amazon, of course. So obviously the Amazon River, biggest river in the world, a gigantic network. If the map is there, by the way, it's so hot, my screen's going a little dark. I don't think I'll overheat. Yeah, the boat's there, exactly, Sayuri. So if you go actually west from here, you'll go up to Terapoto, and I think that's about 4 days by boat. See these houses? There's actually a soccer field or football field out here. These houses are built. No, this is a museum now, Andre. But right around these places, for example, you'll see they have these very long, thin boats that they use for travel. Temperature LS is probably in Celsius about 27 or 28 degrees. So that is in Fahrenheit a lot. That's like 85, but it's also 100% humidity. Now it is rainy season. It is, oh, Chloe, it's lovely and it's good. See, it's good for my skin. And I don't have sunscreen on because so much is filtered. I burnt way more up in the highlands than I do down here, right? But you will see out there, you'll see these boats on a little inlet. So that's typical. So the day is playing out exactly how I expected. So I was here one other time in my life, only once. I was here about 18 years ago with a tour group, but I arrived at the airport and went straight out to a jungle lodge, is what people do out there. And so this time I just gave today to take you all on a tour. I'll come and do a sunset somewhere along here in the Malecon. And then tomorrow I booked a full day out on the river itself. And what do I want to go out and see in the river? Well, everything, of course, but ideally river dolphins. You get pink river dolphins that swim right up in the currents. I have seen them before. So I've also been to Puerto Maldonado, another place that you take tourists. Again, this is all the Peruvian Amazon, this giant, and piranhas. And you know what, Sarah, you say that? I have fished for piranhas. There's two ways to fish for a piranha. You either get a tiny bit of meat on a string and you dip it. They're very small piranhas, right? And teeth, and they bite and you hook them. Or you just pierce your skin a little bit so you have a bit of blood, put it in and you pull them out. I don't recommend that. But this area. So people have been living here quite literally. We are in, the most biodiverse place on planet Earth, indisputably. This is why Sayuri and I chatted a lot during their election there. This is why, it's not my business really to stick my nose into other countries' politics, but this is why most of us around the world didn't want Bolsonaro to win, because he had a plan of deforesting, of course, the lungs of the earth. Now we're on the Peruvian side. There's 500,000 people in the city. There's about 1 million in the greater area. The flight was 1 hour and 45 minutes from Lima to come down here. Super bumpy just because of the heavy, dense air. Chloe, I have my yellow fever. tomorrow when I'm out on the river. And again, the Amazon is the true Amazon is actually about 5 kilometers up here where this Taya River flows in, and there's another river, the Nanai, that all come together at this kind of junction. That's why it's an important junction. I will, even though it'll be hot, I will have long sleeves and long pants. And I've actually bought some insect repellent because of very, very high rates of malaria here. And I'm not taking malaria pills because you have to take them for like 3 weeks after. And because I'm literally here for 3 nights, 2 days. And I didn't book the fanciest hotel by any means, but I did get air conditioning that keeps the bugs out. So, but look at these houses here. So these people all would have a general resistance to malaria, which is fascinating. But I'm out at Castella Square here, and I thought it'd be really important because the boom of the economy through here in Iquitos and in Manaus over on the Brazilian side was, of course, the rubber industry. Now, there are rubber trees all through the jungles here. Rubber was, in fact, Christopher Columbus even took it back to Europe with it. But back starting in the 1870s, they found more and more uses for it, including clothing. Is that right, Lynn? Including clothing and all sorts of things like that. And then, of course, with the development of vehicles. So there was a boom that started in the 1870s right up to 1914. Now, of course, started World War I when it sort of collapsed. I'm going to show you some of that architecture. I do want to say that I love being here. It's a fascinating place. It's pretty run down. And because there's no road access, it'll get very noisy when I get on the main streets because all they are these moto taxis. So yesterday from the airport to the hotel took me about 20 minutes and it cost me $5 US. So that's not too bad. Lovely, friendly guy. And then I let him take me to a travel agency and I just booked a tour for tomorrow. You know, I wasn't going to go and split hairs over a few dollars like that. But this is why I was chatting with Sayuri this morning, because the start of the rubber boom, there was still official in... Thanks, Ginny. Hi, Ginny. Nice to see you. There was still official enslavement, of course, in Brazil, right? The last country to end chattel enslavement, the buying and selling of humans. And Sayuri, I know I keep mentioning you, but Sayuri does really, really meaningful talks about that. But up here is Pedro Castilla. No, not Castillo, not the fellow who was just overthrown by the government here, but he was actually the president of Peru when they ended enslavement here. Remember, Peru was the viceroyalty of the Spanish viceroyalty. This would have been a no man's land out here in one sense. And in another sense, people have been living here in the Amazon basin, well, 25, 30,000 years. Did you see that bird just go by? I don't know if you saw a beautiful yellow tail. Hey, Tina. So there's a Ramon Castilla, sorry, not Pedro, Ramon Castillo, who ended enslavement in this country. But dotted in around, so they had this boom that was really about 35 years. And it was mostly European money coming to extract rubber. And as is always the case with these sort of stories, it was a form of, it wasn't true enslavement, but in indentured servitude. The conditions were absolutely horrendously atrocious that people worked in. And of course, these very wealthy families, built these fabulous homes. And of course, they didn't have air conditioning, but they built them in that tropical way to try and let the air move through. And you have that echo of it. It's interesting. I stopped at a fascinating building. I might make it there today, which is now a military headquarters here. But it was actually built as a hotel back in 1908. And I was chatting with the Army and saying, were you on alert yesterday? And they said yes, but they weren't too worried, which is good news. So as I say, pretty run down. These are the motor taxis here. People offer me tours all day long, but say that's why I bought a full day tour tomorrow. But it is interesting to come and see. Hola. And I just give you a little sense. So the Itaya River is what we were looking at. Hey, Patty, nice to see you. And I can even let you have, the sun's coming out now. There you go. The Historic Center of Iquitos includes more than 80 buildings of high historical and artistic value. And that was that boom from 1880 to 1914. Yeah, the birds dancing around me. You see the big buzzards everywhere. Here's Casa Morey, which I presume was actually a British family who were involved, of course, in that whole trade. But let's keep walking. And I realize this is just a little teaser. Tomorrow, when I'm out all day on the Amazon, if I have a chance to put up a last minute tour with good reception, I'll put one up. But otherwise, I might just have a day out. So this is why I didn't put in my headphones, because I think they would just suck in the sound of these moto taxis everywhere. And I do apologize, but señor, I do apologize because the screen is going dark, so I might miss some of your statements. ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Todo bien? Saludos a todos. As you can tell that we're also in a very hot weather place because everyone's friendly and outgoing. And I'm pretty sure that when I finish the tour with all of you, it might be time for a cold beer, which seems like, the ethical thing to do while I'm here. Hey, Jeff, nice to see you. So these streets are pretty dug up through here. But in amongst them, you're going to see all this old tile work from that early rubber boom. Now, the word Iquitos actually comes from the Iquitos people, which are one of 3 ethnic groups just in this area. But keep in mind, why is there a boat on the street? That model back before Tina, sorry. Were you here, Leo? Great, because I haven't been here since. I was trying to figure out the year. I think it was about 2014. Remember, the Amazon whole system is the biggest water system in the world. I've been talking about this when I was up in Lake Titicaca, for example. When I was up there, you look at a map of South America, you really only see one lake. And that's because everything that's down the east side of the Andes is all that gigantic drainage basin that leads into this massive Amazon. In fact, right at the point between the province of Cusco and Puno at 4,300 meters, I put a photo up. Look at the pigeons up here. Right at that point, as the glaciers melt down the east side, is often called the official headwaters of the whole Amazon basin, which then flows through the whole north. Now, when I get down, I want to get around to the main square, but I wanted to start off with Castilla up there, but then I'll head back to the Malecon, but I need to show you the Plaza de Armas as well. And then you will see more boats just sitting out there, but as the water levels come up, as we move into rainy season, then the water levels come up. And remember, the Amazon is this just massive system. And the biodiversity in there, I mean, I wouldn't dare to try and approach a conversation about the biodiversity of it, but I do know as a planet living with pretty, I gotta watch my stuff exactly right. So the only reason I'm actually going up the sidewalks is because it's so warm, my screen's going so dark. And so if I do magically suddenly cut out, I don't think it's so hottest for that to happen. Our beloved Leslie in Egypt has sometimes when it's over 40 degrees Celsius. Or the time I tried to do that tour in Las Vegas and it was 107. But I'll head up to the main square and we'll have a good look around. But the river will say, Paula, what is the source of income? So obviously rubber faded away. There's a whole bunch of things that go on here. So according to the naval officer I was chatting with this morning, it's about, thanks Cynthia, it's about a 3-day boat ride up to Letizia. Now Letizia is a city or a town in Colombia that I'm still dying to get to. Bouncing a little bit here, but that is the corner between Peru, Colombia. Thanks, Margaret. Peru, Colombia, and Brazil. Estoy haciendo una charla, gracias. Sorry. Hopefully everybody's hearing me okay. Let's just wander down the other street here for a second because my reception is bouncing a little bit. But Letizia is down there, so it's about 3 days, thanks, Lynn, on a boat to get there. So this literally is a waterway. So 3 days to go the other way up to Terapoto, which is where you get a road, or you fly in and out, and then 3 days down to Letizia, and then you carry on for 1,400 kilometers to Manaus, and then another I think 600 kilometers to get out to the outlet on the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, pretty incredible. Now, again, I don't have any repellent on today in the city, but I totally will elsewhere because, of course, this is a high area. Sorry, so guys, see that you put a message in. It's so bright. I can't see the screen right now, but I want to come out and show you the views out here. So to Paula's question about the broader economy. So you have a government presence here, of course, because it's like a territorial sovereignty thing. You have a big military presence. There is lumber being extracted. There's fishing, of course, in the river, right? And then you have all your services, the banking. This is the capital of the largest province of Peru. So historically quite poor. I'm going to go down to the Belen market later today, which is one of the biggest tropical markets in the world. So here I am out by the Malecon, or the waterfront out here. Look at this. And now you can see some of these boats. And as the water levels gradually come up, Um, and you'll start to see. Now, again, some harvesting is just fine. The big issue, and again, I think Sayuri is probably much more qualified to talk about this than I am, but the big issue of what happens, particularly in Brazil, is they clear out large swaths of land to graze cattle. But of course, the forest, 65, 70% of the nutrients in the forest here is in the canopy. So when you cut the canopy down and you graze animals, before you know it, suddenly you've lost all the health in the forest. So I mean, so much of what happens in the true dense Amazon forest is that underneath is actually quite a sheltered system, which is how people, of course, have lived so successfully here for so many thousands of years. And now, out where I live, we have quite a monotonous kind of system, 90% pine trees. Here, the biodiversity is just incredible. I always love, the first time I ever did a tour out here, I remember we took a scoop of water and then used sort of a mini kind of magnifying glass. And just in one scoop of water, there was so much life in there. It just is remarkable. So it's a huge water system. And as I say, I am sort of a fish out of water in this kind of heat. But I mean, how do you not fall in love with it? Anyone fancy a coconut there? Just look at it. Just the life that's happening in here right now. Those coconuts. I got up. I had some juice with breakfast today. And I asked the fellow what it was, and I still didn't understand. Last night, I bought a whole big bin of gooseberries. I call them gooseberries, for like, I don't know, $3. I mean, that would have been $20 at home. Absolutely delicious. And my problem is it's so hot. Hey, Cece, it's so hot now that I'm really not very hungry, but I want to be hungry because there's so much delicious food here. Thanks, Maureen. Look at that house there, eh? And you see how it's all built, made to float, made to bounce up and down. Isn't it remarkable? So, a bit of music on here. And yes, much more outgoing than the Highlands, as one expects. Do you know, Denise, when I was looking up the economic facts, I didn't actually see a term about coffee here specifically. Coffee needs generally a little bit more elevation than this. Thanks, Doreen. Can you hear the birds? I don't know if you can hear it over the music. But, just that intense life that you get in a place like this. Now, I have to say, I could probably spend a week here, but not just in the city. I've already kind of, I got up early and I sort of went out and did the highlights. Thanks, Gene. And, pretty quickly, you've seen that. But they do have a kind of a market up here. So, yeah, but of course, massive fruit production. This is part of the reason, though, why Cusco itself is one of my favorite places in the world. Because just north of Cusco, when you're getting up towards Machu Picchu, it starts to drop down into the high jungle. This is low. This is deep, dense, low jungle. And yes, I'm watching myself. Thanks, Pauline. And so you have this access, like maracuja, which passion fruit, but they're really sour here. They're so delicious. You mix them in with your juices. And I had granadilla for breakfast. I don't think there is an English name for it, but that falls in the passion fruit family. Elizabeth, I unfortunately can't answer that because I do really, I mean, I make mistakes, but I speak fluent Spanish, and so I never even try in English. But as a rule, if you're going to come and travel in this part of the world, I really, really recommend having some Spanish. Spanish is not lots of graffiti. Oh yeah, no, it's pretty worn. It's pretty rundown. Let's go take a little look to this kind of market here. Not so much to show you the market as I want to show you the construction. It's certainly got a rundown feel to it. Now, part of it's just that tropical heat as well, right? So, bienvenido. But yeah, I do strongly, although, like I say, I do travel consulting. And if anyone fancies a trip here, I don't know any guides here, but of course, I can connect people with people all over the world. I mean, for example, our beloved friend Vanessa is just such an excellent guide. So thanks, TJ. So I'm just reading what you're saying there. Is there also a Santo Daime group there? I do not know, Sairi, but there's a talk for you. Again, I mean, I love bringing everyone on these kind of tours, but I also want to say, for example, I can talk about some of this very meaningfully, but I've only been here one other time in my life. I've been to Puerto Malta now twice. But this is what I would call a palafito. And that's because I had lived in southern Chile, in Chiloé. Palafitos are houses built on stilts. Cynthia, because of the balancing, collect all the wings. There's so many lovely wings around. You're absolutely right. Just gorgeous, that, isn't it? Here, why don't we see if we can do a wing selfie. I don't know how well that'll work, but there we go. Actually, kind of looks like I'm on fire, doesn't it? I love it. So palafitos are pillars. Although I did ask someone here if they use the term palafito, they don't. But it's but that's where they have all these houses or all these sticks here, and of course this is all freshwater. Um, sure, um, but there you go. Huge. You see the anaconda around the lady's neck or the boa? I have actually seen an anaconda once in Puerto Maldonado. Got up at 5 a.m. That's where we usually do tours super early in the Amazon because it's so hot when you're out the lodges. And we went out paddling to see otters, and I saw them. And then suddenly in the water, I saw this giant, just this huge thing come up and down. Anaconda. Cool. Cool. I mean, it would have been. You're welcome, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. So pretty fantastic. But yeah, so this gives you a sense that we're just moving into the rainy season. Now, it can get pretty dry out here, as we know. And as we've been talking about earlier on the trip, the people up in Arequipa, in Colca, and in Bolivia are all, really waiting for the rainy season. But it's arriving now, and they need it. So, hola, buenos días. Buenas tardes. So I love the idea of the hammocks out here. So I probably will come back. The guide, let me see. The guide on our cruise. They couldn't see an anaconda. Yeah, Marilyn. Oh, thanks, Molly. Well, that's okay. Thanks for coming by. Check out the boat now. I'll be out on one of these boats tomorrow, and I've been on them. If you've been to Costa Rica as well, if you go to Tortuguero, that's one of the most interesting ecosystems in the world because they have a huge freshwater river, 100 meters land, and then saltwater. That was one of the few times in my life where I actually saw baby tortoises going out to sea. It is extremely important, the seasonality. I will, thanks Marion, I will have a lovely time tomorrow. I mean, it's a package tour, I'll be with a bunch of people, but that's just fine. Heck, I sell tours and I guide that. So it's pretty fascinating. Lovely art. Hey, Hans. So for those of you just joining again, I am in Iquitos, the largest city in the world with no road access. And I'm here in the Peruvian jungle, the Peruvian Amazon, and I am in true Amazonia. So, I mean, it's pretty fantastic. How are we doing for time? Good. I'll take you out to see earrings, Sayuri, later. I promise I don't like to go with the camera into the shops because then I really do want to give them some money, but then it interrupts everything. So I'll get you some earrings, Sayuri. Yeah. Oh, this guy's jousting with me. Pasear. There you go. Now remember, because we're in this heavy, wet sort of area. Of course, these are hardwoods as well. So let's go on up, and we're going to head to the central square. No, I'm in Peru, Tina. So this is Loreto. There's no Amazon. Hola. No, estoy haciendo una presentación. Gracias. This is supplies. Absolutely, Chloe. Supplies come by boat. Absolutely. So you have several flights a day. Yesterday, I ended up having a really interesting day. I am doing a really interesting day in Lima because of the coup. But really, I flew out of La Paz at 4:30 in the morning, and then my flight here was 6:40 in the afternoon. There seemed to be a series of morning flights and then a series of evening flights. I might do sunset. Thanks, Jill. Up there tonight. It'll have a lot of noise. Carrie, as I was saying, I might put up a last minute one, but it really depends on reception if I have any luck with that. So do, as many of you know, I do put up last minute tours quite often. I'm always thrilled by how many people show up, but I'm just going to have to see what the reception's like when I'm out on the river. I am going to do a sunset tonight just because if it stays this kind of cloudy, it should be really gorgeous. Oh, here's another factor. Coming back to Paula's question of the economy. Casinos on every corner. Yes, this is the largest city, Tina, I just repeat, the largest city in the world with no road access. So it's by barge coming out of Tarapoto, which is further west in Peru. If you scan out on the map, you'll see 3 rivers. It's really an inlet, but the Taila, Nanay, and the Amazon all come together on this point. There's 500,000 people here. And then there's about 1 million in the greater region. Oh, well, to see the pink dolphins, Carrie, would be, if I see them, I'll make a YouTube video because I wouldn't be able to put up a tour at that last minute. But I have seen them before. And it is the first time I flew in yesterday. Yeah, yeah, hour 45 from Lima. First time I saw pink river dolphins, I literally had a tear come to my eye. Now, of course, I love wildlife, but to see that is actually one of the most beautiful things. Where they sit is where the rivers come together. They ride up the middle of the currents. Now, this is what I was saying I didn't put in my headphones, because my headphones would have focused on the noise of these motor taxis. So the odd car, but for the most part, it's all of these things. Thanks, Tenet. So yeah, I mean, it's cost me a fair bit of money to come here because of the flights and everything. So you have Viva Peru, or Viva Peru and LATAM. I tend to fly LATAM, not out of any love with them, but that was started out as the national airline from Chile, but just because I fly all over South America here. Look at that. These things here, everything's by barge. Yep. So these are, trying to, thanks, Jeff. The name for this is, what do you call it? You know, that frozen ice, right? Where you have the frozen ice. And see this guy here, they're always trying to sell me something. But yeah, so the boat's going both ways, and you can get on the cruises, and you can head all the way up to Brazil. Hola, bienvenidos a Iquitos. Sí. Bueno, yo Canadá, pero tengo 200 personas mirando en este momento. Sí. So here we are coming in to the Central Plaza. Yo ya tengo, yeah, gracias. Have a look at this now. This is the monument you see in just about every city in Peru, and I always find this a little tragic. This is the War of the Pacific. The drinking water is not safe tonight. Nope. Oh, Dalia, there'll be a road up to somewhere, but it won't connect all the way through to anything. There's little flying in. When I fly out day after tomorrow, it'll be a daytime flight. And I'll try and get some photos. But yeah, it literally cuts off. So they're in the area, but it's thanks, Danny. So yeah, this War of the Pacific. This is now, as you know, I love Bolivia, and I had a wonderful time with Reynan and Paula and everyone. But Bolivian kids learn at school they're poor because Chile stole their access to the sea. So this you see everywhere, which is a bit of a tragedy. But there is a very small church for a famous area. That's 1919, finished 1924. And so there's the parroquia. And there is, so, you know, again, it's kind of tropical environment. And in fact, I wanted to show you around because, again, you've seen that. I mean, it's pretty interesting, but it's pretty run down. Have a look. So there's the DoubleTree. That's the best hotel in all of town. And then you curve around here. Look at that building that's just totally abandoned. Now, whether that was asbestos or something, I don't know. Thanks, Noreen. But you know, pretty amazing. But of course, the jungle will take everything back. And as you can probably see here, like I'm already just sweating because, you know, I'm not kind of made for this. But let me loop around, and then I want to go and show. And this is where I think I know people, and I've put up a tour, by the way, by special request. Someone messaged me specifically asking. I put up a tour on the 13th. I get home the 12th, and the holiday train is coming into the Banff train station. And of course, Banff is the most holiday, most Christmassy town just about anywhere in the world. And I know a lot of people like the lights, but I always do find this kind of thing funny. Just like when I was at the market in La Paz with Reynan and his family, you know, the symbols of like Santa Claus in a place that would no more see snow than fly to the moon is always a little bit of an act of colonization in its own right. But let me go around to the other side and I'll show you the sign of Iquitos over here. And then I want to loop back by the water. But listen, there's the Sociedad, the Spanish Benevolent Society. Did it, Cindy? Oh, that's cool. So here, I'll let these folks take their photos. And look at the motor taxis. Yeah, isn't that fun? The holiday train came through. I'm hoping, if I'm really lucky, Pam won't be away and she'll come and do that tour with me, which will be really fun as well. Thanks, Martin. Now, let me just turn around here for everyone. Now, there's a family, but there is Iquitos. Oh, is that right, Cindy? Do you know I'm finally going to Windsor? I've never been, but because I'm going to be down north of Detroit in February, I feel very, very lucky that I need to set foot in Windsor, Ontario. Let's just see. Maybe they'll move on and I just give one little, maybe not. Family's doing their thing there. So here, let's give you, seeing as how I've made it here. And I need to remember now to take more photos myself. 3, yeah, Lynn, unfortunately, that's when it arrives to Banff. It's 7 to 7:45. So there we are. Welcome to Iquitos in the Peruvian Amazon. Now, let's go and head back to the river. I want to show you a little bit more of the architecture too, but you'll see this funny mix. But yeah, the casinos are an interesting thing because they have casinos in this country, but I've never seen such a density of it. Oh, you're very welcome, Noreen. Like, it's such an honor. I will totally be home. So just, yeah, from a personal point of view, I fly home on the 12th, really the 11th, though. Like, my flight's 3 a.m. I fly up to Montreal. I have 1 hour there, so we'll see if I make my connection. And then I fly home. And then 2 days later, we're going out to Vancouver Island. But some of you know my brother and his wife moved out to the island. And so going out to spend a few days because we're not doing Christmas this year. So we're having a few days in Victoria. I'll absolutely see Elizabeth out there. Might even see Dan because my brother lives in the same town as Dan. Christmas tree sponsored by Patch. So that's kind of fun. So you're going to be in Vancouver at the end of January? So January I'm going to be in Mexico, in Oaxaca, of course. Some of you are. Now, if I can get myself to be hungry, this is this really famous tin building up here. And on the second floor is a French restaurant. The fellow who drove me last night said it's really good. And so, is that right? So we'll get the detour and come stay with us for a couple of days. Geez, send me a message. We have a guest room. But look at that lovely tin building. Fantastic. And you also see, of course, all the kind of mold that happens. Again, it's not unbearably hot. This is a nice hot. I'm enjoying it for a couple of days before I go home to only minus 15. I guess I'm not going to cross the street right yet. Hey, Lorraine, nice to see you. Thanks, Laura. I am actually going to travel a little less this coming year than I have, but I'm so glad I came down here. Normally, I would have brought a tour group here, and I'm so glad I didn't this year. And I know I haven't been doing a lot of virtual tours, but I've been trying my hardest to support the guides down here who are just such lovely people. And also, my goal was to get up to high altitude, and when it was just too hard to get out to Uni and the Salar, that's when I decided I would come here. And I'm so glad I came back. And exactly 3 nights, 2 days, the right amount of time, I think, because I really have seen the highlights of the actual town. But I'll have a wonderful day out tomorrow. So let's carry on. There's the Yellow Rose of Texas. Hola, todo bien. Gracias. Everybody wants to give me a tour, which is really nice of them. But I already had one last night. That's why I actually, thanks, Ruth. And Patty, thank you. That's why I just went and bought a full day tour for tomorrow because then it's taken care of. But I plan on having a pretty chill afternoon. But Belém is, by the way, in Spanish, is Bethlehem, and just about every city has a neighborhood named after that. But it is one of the biggest outdoor markets in the jungle, so I plan on going out. This, by the way, perezoso, or sloths, right? There's 3-toed sloths. That's obviously a 3-toed you can see. It was nothing, Cindy. Good question. It was 75, so it was like $20 or something, And I know they'll be selling these things through the day, but I mean, really great value for money. And the lovely guy. No, gracias, ya tengo. Muy amable. But yeah, the guy who brought me in the motor taxi, say it was $5 from the airport. So I just let him pick his favorite. I'm thrilled for him to make a little commission. Thanks, Helen. So let's come back. Now, I want to show you what I think is probably the most impressive building that I've found so far in my walks through here. Oh, by the way, the snow cones I was thinking of earlier are Las Padillas. Look at this. So this was built. This is now the headquarters of the military out here. So many cars. Well, yeah, parked out here, but it's like 90% these motorbikes. Look at that fabulous building. And it says up top, 1908. So this was the fancy hotel for the owners. Let me get across the street. By the way, I do keep looking away because there's a million things you could step in here. Thanks, Margaret. But it was just out front here this morning. I had this really good conversation with, I guess they were Navy, but talking to me saying that it was 3 nights, 4 days to get all the way down to the, thanks, Chloe. Coca-Cola, Elizabeth. It was just everywhere in the world. To get to the border of Leticia, which is the border between Colombia and Brazil. If you go over to Ecuador, they have their own Amazon, but of course Ecuador doesn't get down to sea level. Thanks, Hans. Dankeschön. They don't get down to this sea level. It's like I'm literally 300 feet. Just imagine I'm 100 meters, and 2 days ago I was at 5,300 meters. Now my big high altitude lungs, I got up and did some push-ups and sit-ups this morning. They still get tired, but boy, oh boy, you do feel that energy. And I just think it's a fabulous bit of architecture there, isn't it? Now, obviously, you live with it. Well, I would live with air conditioning here, and you do for lots of reasons. So where I was down at that market was here, but you get to see the palafitos from a bit of a different angle up through here to see how they're built on their stilts into that. So that is some, yeah, it does look like a hotel, and it was. Well, do you know, Martine? So many of you have joined me before when I've been up on Grouse Mountain in Vancouver. We go up and see the bears. And I hiked. I hiked up there when I came back from living here, but up in the Highlands. Thanks, Marilyn. When I came back, so I usually hike up in about an hour, about 56, 57 minutes. Do you know, those are not actually homes right there, Lynn. That was that artisan market I showed you. But there are homes like that all over the place. Yes, so great question. Well, Helen, so I'll just finish that one point. When I got up from the high altitude, I remember going back to Grouse Mountain in Vancouver, and I climbed it in 44 minutes, and a month later I couldn't do it again. So as the water levels come up, things could absolutely get stuck in there, like it is part of the maintenance of it. Now you can see that there's quite a lot of water out there, and that's a big inlet. Thanks, Mark, my friend. They have a lot of water there, but the actual Amazon's the next step over in the distance. So that's kind of where we are. But if you scan it on the map, you'll really see where I am, kind of wedged in this really unique kind of a place there. So let's keep wandering around a little bit. So like I said, todo bien, gracias. Canadá. Wow. Con el calor del frío. Estoy haciendo una presentación. Yeah, gracias. Buenos días. Now this is the military in here. So the Cuartel General allá. Have a look. And they wouldn't let me in, by the way. I tried. And thanks, Peter. And this square has just been repainted here. Another hero from their War of the Pacific always has his pistol out. I'm not a huge fan, of course, of war memorials, but thanks, Peter. So Tina, as I was saying earlier, I might put up a last minute tour tomorrow from the jungle, but I have to put them up an hour before now. The app doesn't let me put them up any sooner, which surprises me. So I'll see what the reception's like. And frankly, I'll see what I'm doing, because I want to have a fun day out on the river, and I want to see some river dolphins if I can. So we'll get a sense of that. But look at this. I mean, the biodiversity in here. I know some of the trees. There you've got the vultures up top now. Have a look at these vultures. So funny. It seems to be wherever I'm walking around, I always seem to have these vultures circling over my head. I don't know why. That's why I keep moving so much. But look at them up in the trees there. I did see Mark, you laughed too quickly. And do a rest. Well, you know what? I genuinely, like this morning, I let myself sleep. Is that right, Cindy? Yeah. I let myself sleep until I woke up. Like, I didn't set an alarm or anything. Of course, I still woke up early. But no, I mean, I've had a genuine break. I've had tons of exercise, high altitude. And of course, I am looking forward to going home. I miss my family now, but it's been so nice to be down here. So there you get mixed in. But yeah, I mean, infrastructure's good. Like, this reception is better than I get in some parts of Banff, right? So that's pretty neat. I remember one time doing a walk in the jungle, part of Maldonado, and very early in the morning. And the guide said, if you're slipping, if you're having trouble with your step, don't. I said turkey vulture. Yep. There's a lovely bird in there. Let me see if I. And they said, don't touch the trees if you're going to fall over. So they don't use them for sport. When you look at the tree, it's all ants coming up the sides of them. Like, humans who have survived in this part of the world forever are really incredible things, because this is the lungs of the earth. Sorry, there is. Oh, there it is. Hello, you go. It's some sort of a bluebird. I'm going to call it an Amazonian bluebird. That's my special name for it. But it is in the tree. Andre, absolutely. I always feel so much younger, so much fitter when I come back down from the highlands. And again, I live quite high, right? My house is at 1,500 meters, but this is why I love to come back and do the hiking and the climbing. And then a couple of days here is always a fantastic kind of sense of biodiversity. Now, once again, obviously people are camping out, living in here. You're right, Natalie. Um, Denise, I have not seen toucans this time. Now, I might well tomorrow. If you've ever been to Iguazu, and of course, we had our fabulous guide, Sayuri, what was her name? Lovely, lovely person doing tours in Iguazu. I remember walking straight into Iguazu National Park and having a giant toucan out front. But remember, I got here last night, well after dark. I mean, I landed I didn't get to the hotel till about 9:40. So I really didn't, so I got up this morning. But tomorrow, hopefully, I'll see as much biodiversity as I possibly can. Now, I had warned some of you that my phone's having problems. I had to go buy yesterday an old charging cable because I have this iPhone 13, and I bought it for virtual tours because of the great camera. But now the high-speed charge, Lillian, exactly, Paula. The high-speed lightning cable's not working on my phone. Somehow it was damaged. There are actually, Bev, there's stray dogs everywhere. I just haven't shown them to you necessarily on this particular walk. But yeah, just like I was saying, there's some birds telling us stories up here in this canopy here. Now, again, between the motos, I don't know if you can hear, but there are birds up in there telling stories. Oh, and there's, see, those are the vultures that are always up over my head. Yes, Tina, I can't be anywhere else but Iquitos here. So I'm going out on the river. So yeah, I'm going to just see what sunset is like tonight. Yeah. Estoy haciendo una charla. Sí, gracias. Yeah. But yeah, as you can see, this gives you a sense of kind of the density. It's lovely nice big crowd on board. But I'm thrilled to share this with everyone. And I know it seems that everyone, there's a huge energy for all of the sort of Christmas scenes. And of course, when I get back home, I mean, Banff is about as perfectly holiday period as you get. But I just think it's such a treat to be able to bring people here. I think we should all chip in. And hey, Maureen, I think we should all chip in and send Sayuri up to Manaus to give us a tour. In fact, we should all chip in and get me to fly down and meet Sayuri in Manaus, and we can go see the opera. Now, these are homes. There you go. That is very much. And so when I've been out in some of the lodges in the past, you go, and I'm going to go to a village tomorrow. I know it'll be touristy, but people will have pet sloths with them. Another one of my lovely sort of stories is one time in Costa Rica driving down the road. Of course, Costa Ricans all study biodiversity, and we stopped as a sloth was walking. Oh, did she? Okay. As a sloth was making her way across the road, and we stopped. And the driver got out and picked her up, put her up in a tree. Loveliest thing you'll ever see. They're just beautiful creatures. Have you ever read that story, The Life of Pi? That they talk about the fact that a sloth's ability to adapt the way everything has in these sort of environments, they do so by just kind of not feeling and not participating. They're so slow that they're not a target. Like I said, Tina, if I get really good reception and if it's a nice day, I might. No, they're not turkey vultures because they don't have red heads. You need a red head to be a turkey vulture. So that's a vulture up there. I saw turkey vultures the other day, way, way, way high up in the Andes. Of course, that's what it's called in British Columbia, a buzzard, the same thing. But none of the ones here that I've seen anyway have red heads on them. And that, by the way, in case you want to be really interested, is a pigeon. So how cool is that, eh? Hey, Mark, if you're here, maybe I could get a great reflection of garbage in a pond for you. There you are. So take that to the canals. Well, again, I don't presume. I mean, people do PhD after PhD after PhD on the biodiversity in this part of the world. So I'm not pretending for a second to speak authoritatively about it. Whereas at home, of course, I feel as though I can because, of course, I study at things, Viola. Look at the houses down in here. See? Home sweet home. Postcard of that's right, Cynthia. if that doesn't win postcard of the day, I'm leaving. Now you can just have a look down here. So you have the corrugated iron. And then just down a little further, you see the remnants of one of these older buildings here. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I have crossed time. Um, and I know this is just a little teaser, a little taste test. I somewhere around here, I would love to. Um, oh, they're all in the floodplain. Absolutely, you're welcome, Lori. They absolutely are all in the floodplain. In fact, let me just come back to this for a second. This is literally where the river. You're welcome, Marion. This is where the river will stretch out to, right? And again, this is the Taya River. Thanks, owner. And the Amazon's the other side. This whole area does become a floodplain, right? So this is it's a fascinating and biodiverse place. Hey, Aaron, sorry I didn't even see you there, and thanks, Sharon. But again, you're welcome. It's so nice to share this with everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. It is interesting, and it's so nice to share with you. A directorship of Hago. Consider taking it over. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, Laura. Well, thank you, Jennifer. It's so nice to share all of this with everyone. And again, it's it's just Google. Sí, sí, gracias. Muy amable. Por ahí, ya, vuelvo para acá, para la plaza. Perfecto. Gracias. That lovely, lovely lady just said to me, be careful. Thanks, Laurie. With my, oh, you're Memphis. Hi, Laurie. Sorry, I didn't even see you there. She just said to me, be careful with my gimbal, my phone down in that area. That's heading down to Belém. And so what I'm going to do is go pack this away. And even though in my near future, I foresee the presence of a cold beer, I actually want to go down to that market. Nice to have. Do you know, Laurie, I love Memphis. You're going to have to send me a message because tell us when one of your tours is up. Thanks, Jim. And put it on our camper van group, our Facebook group, because I think Memphis, I actually wrote a piece once about the history of Memphis and then, of course, the history of enslavement. They say of all the cities in the world, they take everything away. And then what did they give us? Music. I mean, fabulous city. Is it Judy's birthday? Judy, if it's your birthday, I have to give you, first of all, a big hug. I haven't sung for someone's birthday for a long time. So, Jean de Pays, c'est à ton tour de te laisser parler d'amour. Happy birthday. Sorry, I think I saw one other question come whipping by here. Sorry if I've missed. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Darla. It's so nice to have you here. So, listen, everyone, I really have blown through my time here. So here I am again in Iquitos, Peru. And I really want to build up my hunger. All I did was have juices and fruit for breakfast. I want to build up my hunger and have some kind of fish I would expect out of the Amazon. So, but lovely and bearable. You're very welcome. Nice to have a big crowd here. May I just ask, and I said this the other day as well, part of my motivation of coming back here, again, I've lived in South America twice in my life. I've traveled here. I love it. But also I wanted to support the guides down here. And they're all, by the way, look at this lovely little pussycat there. They're all as lovely. You know, I didn't do a tour with Mike, but I hung out with Mike. And then, of course, my beloved Elizabeth up in Arequipa, Vanessa, who's a brilliant guide, and, of course, Renan and Paula and La Paz. If you can spread the word of these people, and, of course, our Sayuri, who is one of the sort of most supportive people on the whole platform, come and fall in love with this part of the world, and warts and all, right? You're welcome, Michael. Because, hey, it's not pretending not to be challenged and poor and all sorts of things, but it's fascinating and kind and warm and just so beautiful. So I really do appreciate your support, everyone. But I'd really rather, whatever weight I have, I'd love that to be passed on to all of our friends. So everyone, here they are, all selling you there. Here's the supermarket. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I'm going to let you go because I think I should probably pack this away. Someone doesn't zoom by and pull it out of my hand. Rosana, un abrazo. So, thank you, everyone, from this fascinating city. And if you're around, MB, a big hug to you, my friend. And if you're around tonight, thanks, Marilyn. I will see you for sunset somewhere. And then we'll see. Maybe tomorrow I put up a last-minute one. It so isn't interesting, isn't it? All right, everyone. See you soon. One more beautiful building up in the distance there. And then one pretty rundown building. But hey, my house looks a little rundown in Banff too, so I will, Michael. And I'm not going to touch this, by the way, just so you know. Thanks. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Oh, by the way, I don't know if Annie's here, but one last one. Thanks, Susie. Do you know that my wife left me because of my compulsive gambling? But I think I can win her back. All right. Take care from the Amazon. Lots of love. I have a lot of oxygen in my body right now. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.